Think back to when you were a teenager and all the slang and jargon that were commonplace between you and your friends that left your mom or dad scratching their head, wondering what in the world you were talking about. Perhaps if you have tweens or teens now, you're going through this on the other side. Point being, different segments of our population create different language as communication, and the acting industry is no exception. When I first became an actor, I came from the world of television broadcasting as a former reporter and anchor for various networks, where we had our own form of communication. So when I got my first audition, I remember the direction said, make sure you print your sides and bring them with you. I had no idea what they were talking about. I Googled and couldn't figure it out because I clearly wasn't asking a quality question because I was that lost. What they were simply asking me to do is print out my script and bring it to my audition. I then learned that sides are a small sampling from the script that are used for auditions. If I didn't figure that out, I would have gone to that audition unprepared, minimizing my chances to book the role because casting directors, often referred to simply as CDs, do not take kindly to actors or parents of child actors not following directions. And it's not because they're mean. Quite the contrary. They are perhaps the biggest cheerleaders for actors. It's because not following directions results in a direct increased workload for them. You didn't bring the script, now they have to print one off for you. Didn't label your tapes correctly when uploading an audition, well, now they have to rename the file. You can imagine if dozens of actors do this on a daily basis, casting directors wouldn't be able to get their job done. And the role of a casting director is to book actors. So you want to make their job as easy as possible. Plus, you don't want to get the reputation of being a problem child. Acting is a small industry where everyone knows everyone. So keep that in mind as you move through this world. Your actions or lack thereof are a direct reflection to your child. So I want to equip you with all the knowledge you need to be a proficient parent of a child actor, knowing all the terminology needed to sound knowledgeable and professional in any situation. Now, attached to this lesson are 11 pages of common industry terminology that I am going to go over with you step by step so there's no misunderstanding of what each term means. Please print out the PDF so that you can follow along with each definition and keep this printout for years to come so you have it for reference. My goal is that hopefully you will never find yourself in the situation I did years ago, searching Google to find out what they're asking from you. And by learning this terminology, the rest of the masterclass will be much more digestible because the terms have already been explained. So let's start at the beginning by explaining what is an agent or an agency. An agent or an agency is the person or group of agents who find jobs for the actor by working directly with casting directors and production companies to find actors' auditions. Most work and are licensed in a regional zone, which means they only cover a specific area in the country. And this is why a lot of actors are able to have multiple agency representation, so they cover more of a geographical location, meaning my daughters have Southeastern representation as well as bi-coastal representation, referring mainly to LA and New York agents. However, a lot of agents, especially in the Southeast, want you to be local to that area because a number of auditions require that the talent be within a specific number of miles. So production doesn't have to pay for travel, hotel, per diem. Per diem is a nominal cost for an actor and the parent of a child actor to cover allowances while on location or shooting a project. Agents get paid when an actor books a job by receiving a commission off their pay. Most TV film agents collect about 10% for the job, while voiceover and commercial and print agents can make 15 to 20% depending on the agency. What is a manager? A manager works a lot like an agent, but they do not have geographical restrictions and can oftentimes give more personalized attention to a client and help shape their career. They typically have a smaller roster of clients and can sometimes take more commission for their personalized efforts. In my experience, managers are more communicative and will help you with career advice, plotting, headshot specificity, unique audition choices, you name it. If you want to dive even deeper, simply Google what is the difference between an agent and a manager for an actor, and you will find a plethora of information. And before we go any further, here is a very important tip. If anyone asks you for money to represent your child, run. It's a scam. Legitimate agencies make money when your child books a job through commissions. They do all the work up front, and that's why they're so selective in who they represent. They have to believe that your child can land jobs and make them money in the future because they're taking all the risk. In exchange, they expect you to know what you're about to learn in this course. What is a casting director? A casting director, often referred to as CD, is hired by the production company to match actors to roles in the upcoming television, film, or commercial production. Casting directors audition with production companies, just like actors, to be a part of the project. If they're selected, they read scripts and meet with producers and directors to get a sense of the type of person they're looking for before releasing the roles to talent agencies, who then look through their roster to see who matches the role and gets the audition. Oftentimes, CDs will tell agents to give them their top 3 to 4 people and no more. This is why it's a win to even get the audition. And a common misconception is that casting directors book the actors. They're actually just the gatekeepers to get the actor's tape to production. Typically, from all the auditions they receive, they will select a handful, around 5, to show production and allow them to choose. Depending on the production, they may ask for casting's input, but not always. What is production or a production company? A production company is responsible for making and producing the entire project, be it a film, television show, or commercial. They produce the idea, content, hire all the necessary people from directors to actors, scout locations on where the project will be shot, provide all the needed equipment, edit the project, and finally release it. Now, please note that the above is a very broad stroke for comprehensive purposes. What is a script? A script is the complete dialogue and direction of a certain film or television show, whereas sides are only a small portion of the script used when auditioning. So what are sides? They're pages from the script that the casting director gives to an actor as part of the audition process for feature films, television, or even commercials. Sides are typically just a portion of the script and just a few pages containing one or more of the scenes. You're going to see examples of these sides when we get into the auditions lesson. What are director's notes? In a script, the director's notes are typically found in parentheses or in between character dialogue that oftentimes describe the character's physicality or give detailed descriptions of what the scene will visually look like when shot. For example, the director's note may say, Jane slams the door and stomps to the couch where she sits with her arms crossed, fuming at what she just heard. These notes help give the actor an understanding of what's happening in the scene and give production the visual they need to plan the shot. Director's notes should never be read during an audition. What is an audition? An audition is an interview of sorts for a particular role that asks the actor to demonstrate their suitability and skill. Notice I said suitability. This is important to remember because the best actor doesn't always get the job, but the most suitable actor will. More on that later. What is a reader? A reader is the person opposite the actor reading the other character's dialogue. You will be the reader for your child if you are self-taping them at home. The casting director is typically the reader in in-person auditions. What is a callback? A callback normally means that the director or production would like to see the actor again. Sometimes they'll provide additional sides or even pair you with another actor, oftentimes called a chemistry read, if the callback is in person. Receiving a callback does not guarantee a booking, and conversely, not receiving a callback doesn't necessarily mean your child won't be cast. Each production handles the audition process completely different. What is going to producers or a producer session? This is similar to a callback, but when specifically called a producer session, anyone who has decision-making power is normally in the room. These are typically in-person sessions. Additionally, your child's tape may go to producers, which means it has been elevated to the decision makers during the audition process. Again, this is not a guarantee of a booking, but it's a huge win in the acting world because not many people make it through to producers. What is an availability check? An availability check is normally from the project's casting director to ensure that your child is available for the shoot dates before they present them to production as an option. Most of the time, this is done during the audition process, but if they're seriously considering your child, they will often double check. Much like a callback, an availability check does not guarantee a booking. And conversely, not receiving an availability check does not necessarily mean that your child won't be cast. Each production operates differently, so trying to figure out the process is futile. What is a hold or a release? Well, a hold is very similar to an availability check and can sometimes be interchangeable depending on the casting director. But technically, a hold means your child's audition is one of the top choices and is on its way to production to view, where they will then make their decision which has to then go to network for approval. This normally happens within a couple of days, which can feel like forever when your child is on hold. When this happens, you will receive a phone call, either confirming their booking, that they were their top choice, or letting you know that they have been released. And this is one of the only times you will ever receive notification that your child has not booked. 99% of the time, if you hear nothing following an audition, it means your child didn't book the job. What is a screen test? More commonly referred to simply as a test or testing for a role, this is a filmed audition in which 6 or less actors are invited to attend, where they will meet with the casting director, network executives, director, producer, and any other decision maker to see how they look on screen and interact with other cast members. Testing actors negotiate and sign contracts before they test so that the chosen actor has already agreed to all the terms of the job once selected. What is a work session? An actor may be invited to a work session following an audition where they will work with either the casting director, or producer before heading back for another round of callbacks. Or the work session may become the actor's test to show network executives instead of holding another round of auditions. What is a booking? When an actor books a role, it means they have been selected by the casting director or the production team to perform the role in which they auditioned. They are the best words an actor can hear. You booked it. What is a call time? When your child books a job, they will be given a call time from production. This is a specific designated time when your child should report to set. The location and address is given to you by production. 15 minutes early is on time. Let me say that again. 15 minutes early is on time in the acting industry. Being late for production is not only unprofessional, it's extremely costly. Each person on that set is getting paid a day rate, which includes a specified number of hours. If production runs over those hours, it can cost thousands in overtime. Production works very hard at the end of each day to create a schedule for the following day that is effective and successful. You being late with your child can not only impact the budget, but the entire day of shooting by putting everyone behind what was initially planned. And if any of those shots that got pushed back are dependent on something like a sunrise or a sunset, you can see how it can snowball into a very uncomfortable situation if you're the cause of the missed shot. Additionally, you can bet that your child will never be asked back to that set or any other production that is produced by that team. And I know that sounds really harsh, but it's the truth, and you need the knowledge so this doesn't happen to you. I should also note that call times often come out incredibly late in the evening before your child is supposed to shoot if they're working on a project that is already in production. This is because the second AD, second assistant director, creates a new schedule each night dependent upon what was completed the day before. And they don't know that until the production wraps for the evening. What is a wrap time? This refers to the time that an actor is done working with the production. The famous "that's a wrap" refers to when a production concludes in its entirety. It's wrapped up. This is also common terminology from day to day on set, referring to when actors or production will leave for the day, even if they're returning to set the following day for more shooting. What is talent? Talent is another word for an actor on set. Anyone that is in front of the camera is considered talent and will be referred to as such on set. Those who book principal roles, speaking roles, will also be referred to as A team on set. The B team are their stand-ins. What is a series regular? A series regular is a principal actor and part of the main cast. These actors typically appear in every episode. All 6 friends in the sitcom Friends were series regulars. What is recurring? Recurring actors appear in multiple episodes, either over the course of the season or the entire series. What is a guest star? A guest star is not a member of the main cast, but is heavily involved in a specific storyline, so much so that the story would not make sense without this character. They often appear in one episode, but can pop up in more scenes throughout the show's season or series. What is a co-star? A co-star is typically a speaking role, although it can be non-speaking, in 1 or 2 scenes of production, and likely works one day. This is the role that most aspiring actors initially book and will continue to book until they can move up the ranks to guest star, recurring, etc. What is an extra? An extra or background actor is someone who performs in a production in a non-speaking role, usually in the background. These roles are normally cast by submitting headshots to a casting director who specializes in casting background actors. Those selected will be notified and given their call time and the address. Extras do not receive residuals and are not part of the principal cast. What is base camp? Base camp, referred to as circus in Canada, is located where all the production trailers are set up. This is where you'll find wardrobe, hair and makeup, crafty, which I'll explain in a little bit, and trailers for talent, producers, directors, and schooling. Normally, your child will be equipped with a very small trailer, which is also called a honey wagon, which will also serve as their dressing room and holding area until they're called to set to perform. Who is the second AD? The second AD, or assistant director, is in charge of base camp and is your right hand person for the entirety of the shoot while you're at base camp. They are the ones that will greet you when you arrive for your call time. They take you to your trailer and they come to escort you to hair and makeup and wardrobe, which is oftentimes already in your trailer when you arrive, and also put you in a vehicle to drive you to set, since set is often not at the same location as base camp. They're also the ones that handle all of the paperwork to get your child paid and sign you out at the end of the night. Basically, you're verifying when they arrived to set, when they broke for meals, and when they wrapped for the evening. What is wardrobe? When your child books a job, wardrobe is one of the first people you will hear from asking for your child's sizes or asking you to bring personal articles of clothing to set as wardrobe options. When providing sizes, make sure they're accurate. Oftentimes, a fitting will be scheduled prior to your child's shoot date to see if there's any alterations that need to be made. When you arrive on set, your child's chosen wardrobe will be hanging in the trailer, along with any accessories. Here's a tip. Do not allow your child to eat in wardrobe. Oftentimes, wardrobe will come around with smocks during mealtime, but if they don't, be professional and ask for one. They will be greatly appreciative of you being mindful of keeping their costume stain-free. Also, make sure that you do not inadvertently leave with any clothes or accessories from set. You will be asked to drive or mail them back. I know from experience. What is hair and makeup? The hair and makeup department is responsible for creating each individualized character's look for production through hair and makeup. Sometimes your child will be called in during the pre-production process for a test with hair and makeup so that the director or producer can approve the look. They may ask if they can cut, color, use prosthetics or wigs, hair extensions on your child, and if your child has any allergies. Please be honest and make sure you and your child are on the same page. It's okay to say no as long as you didn't say yes to an appearance change to get the job and are now changing your mind that could cost your child the booking. If there are any requested drastic appearance changes, they are almost always disclosed during the audition process so that you can decline ahead of time if you're not comfortable with the appearance change. What is a set teacher? Children under the age of 18 who are not legal 18, which I will explain in a moment, have to do a specified amount of schooling while on set, dependent upon their age. The set teacher facilitates this learning and also serves as the child's advocate on set. They're normally also present during hair dyeing or any other appearance changes, as well as highly emotional or extreme circumstances for the actor, anything deemed potentially strenuous, mentally or physically. They're also there as a safeguard between you and production. Sometimes a parent or child may have a hard time saying no if they're uncomfortable with a scene or a potential decision, and the set teacher can step in on your child's behalf. They also have ultimate control to tell production that a child can't return to set if they're falling behind in schooling or aren't doing enough schooling. So make sure your child stays up to speed on their work and doesn't fool around in the schooling trailer. What is craft services? This is everyone's favorite. Also known as crafty, this is the food and beverage that is provided on set. Sometimes production will reach out after your child books a job and ask if your child has any allergies so that they can better prepare. But oftentimes, you will see a slew of sugar at the crafty table when they know kids are on set. Come prepared with healthy snacks so your child doesn't have a sugar crash before they head to set and work. Again, time is money and your child is there to do a job, so be professional and set them up for success. What is Legal 18 status? Previously known as the California High School Proficiency Exam, or CHITSP, it is now a combination of CPP, California Proficiency Program, and California HiSET. This is a test that qualifying actors 16 years and up in at least their second semester of 10th grade can take to grant the status of Legal 18 so that they can work as an adult on a production. This means no set teachers are required. No permit is needed, and no schooling will be done on set. However, they are still a minor in the eyes of the law and cannot sign legal contracts. Actors 16 and 17 years old look to gain this status because they're in what's called the dead zone, since production typically hires actors 18 years and older to play down to that age range, since they don't have to deal with schooling or parents on set. For more information on eligibility requirements and information, please log on to highset.org/California/proficiency. What is a work permit? Child actors need to obtain a work permit in order to work on productions in most states and countries. The permit needs to be obtained online and signed by your child's school, homeschooling representative, or administration to ensure that they are in good standing. Each state has different rules and requirements for work permits, as well as expiration dates. For example, the state of California requires an updated work permit every 6 months. You can apply for your child's work permit in California by visiting cde.ca.gov. Those needing a permit for Georgia can visit doc.georgia.gov. These permits are free, but can often take several weeks to get approved, so plan in advance. I always set a reminder on my phone about a month in advance to avoid any lapses in my children's work permits. What is Coogan law? The California Child Actors Bill requires that 15% of the child's entertainment earnings go into a trust in an effort to safeguard a portion of their money to protect them from exploitation and abuse. The trust is the sole property of the child and is inaccessible until the child's 18th birthday. The bill was created after Jackie Coogan's parents squandered his fortune in the 1930s. Not all productions require a Coogan account, but one must be established if they do. This is very simply done by calling the Actors Federal Credit Union. Their information is actorsfcu.com. What is SAG-AFTRA? The Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, is an American labor union that represents approximately 160,000 media professionals worldwide. It's considered a rite of passage for new performers to become SAG eligible, or SAG-E, because it means you landed your first principal role, normally a speaking role, in a union show. Actors can spend their entire career SAG eligible if they live in a non-union state. But if they work in a union state, they become a must join after their second union job. Most primetime shows, ABC, CBS, NBC, and shows on streaming platforms like Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, as well as most films, are union jobs and are obtained through agency representation. Union bookings follow union rules, which police work hours, minimum pay, and other work conditions for actors. What are residuals? Residuals are financial compensation that are paid to the actors as well as others involved in the making of the TV show or commercial when the production is rerun in syndication, DVD release, or licensed to streaming media. Residuals are based on screen time. The more screen time for an actor, the higher their residuals will be. What is pilot season? Pilot season is the time when studios create sample episodes for new potential series. The pilot, the first episode, is called a test episode that will be screened for a major network and a sample audience to see if the show will be picked up for a full series order. This is when series regulars are cast. Historically, pilot season has taken place between January and April, with the bulk of activity in February and March. But this is changing drastically due to streaming services creating content year-round. What is episodic season? Episodic season is the season when most of the co-stars, guest stars, and recurring characters are cast for the pilots that made it through from testing season. Episodic season traditionally runs August through November, but much like pilot season, this is changing due to streaming services creating content year-round. What is a demo reel? A demo reel is a 1 to 3 minute video compilation of an actor's best on-camera work that demonstrates their range. Demo reels allow agents, casting directors, and producers to get a sense of some acting abilities and on-screen presence from the actor. What is C-mail? This is what an audition email is called that comes from the acting website Actors Access, which is commonly used from many or most casting directors across the country. When you see you have a C-mail in your inbox, it means your child has an audition or an important message regarding their audition. This is the website I will walk you through step by step when we get to the auditions lesson. What is a SAG low-budget film? A SAG low-budget project agreement is a project that is produced at a lower amount and is typically privately funded, making it an independent film, not backed by a large studio. Most of production, including the actors, are making a lower day rate or weekly rate due to the lower funding of the project. What is a student film? A student film is where the producer is still a student enrolled in an accredited educational institution, either at the undergraduate or graduate level, and where the primary purpose of the film is a learning experience in which the producer fulfills whatever educational requirements such project is produced for. The producer and or corresponding educational institution must own the film, which may only be used for nonprofit purposes. What is a showrunner? This is the person who has overall creative authority and management responsibility for a television program. The vision of the show as a whole does not come from the freelance or even the staff writer, but from the showrunner. What is an NDA? Actors are often asked to sign non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, before auditioning or being cast in a role. However, signing an NDA does not guarantee that the actor will be hired. NDAs are legal instruments that protect confidential information and creative labor in the film industry. Never share any sides or any audition information, but especially when under an NDA. You can be sued if you do so. You made it through. That's the most common terminology you need to know. And I know it was a lot, but I promise you it's important and it will be wildly beneficial for you to have these definitions as a reference as you move through your journey. These terms are used so often in the industry, they'll become second nature to you after a while. And if you want to dive even deeper into any of these words, hopefully this gives you a baseline for how they're used in acting. To finish off this lesson, I wanted to provide you with a gift. Attached to this list of terminology is a list of top agencies throughout the country that represent child actors. This is by no means a comprehensive list, nor is this an endorsement of any of these agencies. This is simply a sampling of some of the top players that represent quality talent that book acting jobs on relevant and popular television and film productions. Their submission instructions should be listed on their website. And also note that some of these agencies may be referral only, so getting your child's foot in the door may take some time and work. As you begin your research, please be sure to vet each agency and the people who work there. Additionally, take this into consideration. You want your child to be with an agent that sees what you see in your child. You want them to be excited about them. Don't necessarily run to the biggest and the best agency because they have top talent, because if your child is just starting out, they may not get the attention or the opportunities that you want. Remember when I said casting directors will often ask agencies to only submit their top 3 to 5 people for any given audition? If your child is not in the agency's top 5 kids that book, which they won't be because they're just starting out, you may be doing them a disservice by signing them with a larger agency. Again, just food for thought as you begin looking for representation. Also remember that you're building a team for your child. So be certain that the representation you bring on board falls in line with your personality, because you're going to be working hand in hand with them via email, phone calls, and negotiations when your child starts booking. So choose wisely.